I've turned book pages into folders before using images like this bird, and I've also made vintage folders with book pages and a flip-flap envelope thing, but I've never made a folder as cute and elegant and as easy as the one that I'm making today. It's a really easy project using whatever papers you have, and I'm adding a couple of easy pockets that I'll make step by step. All my design tips, all my thoughts as I put it together, I'll share with you today. Hello, it's Joey making an easy journal folder and a little elegant craft DIY. The key supplies that I'm using today to make this little journal folder, or could even be a junk journal cover if you wanted to turn it into that, are book pages for the main cover and also some pretty papers on the inside for these images and for the outside. And although I'm using really nice images today, which are these, they are some gorgeous new Asian papers from Tracy Fox, this project would still work really well if you didn't have digital papers, so you can just use book pages. And I did want everyone to feel like they could be included and part of this project even if you don't have digital papers. But today I am going to make use of these really stunning images, particularly these ladies, which I think make a real feature of the inside of this little journal folder. So I'll start with making the cover, and then I'll move to the pockets and the decoration, and it's a really simple process. So I'm going to start by gluing those images, those sheets, onto a book page. And the book that I'm using, or the book page, has come from my Purnell's Concise Encyclopedia of Geography. And the reason I use this is the papers are relatively thick. They're obviously a very decent size, so when they're on the side they make a decent size of folder. I love the feel, quite thick, and a lot of the pages have got black and white images on one side as well, so it's easy to choose a side when you're making a project which has got either something in colour or something in black and white if that's what you want to use. So this one is a very well used book and I'm working my way through it, and I'm already thinking that I need to get another of those. So I will take my piece of book page and I'm simply going to glue one image on to this book page, and I think I will cover up the coloured picture. So I'm going to put my outside image onto this book page. I'm going to use a relatively liquid glue, and that can go just in a fine line around the edge of this A4 sheet of paper, and I've printed the image onto 90 GSM copy paper, so it's a touch thicker than traditional copy paper, which I think is 80 GSM. And I'm going as tidily as I can into that left hand corner. The image on my piece of A4 paper is just a little bit smaller than my book page, so I will be trimming that off. So I'm happy with that. I don't need a lot of glue because I am going to sew around this, and that will hold down the image, the printed sheet, onto the book page really nice and firmly. I'm also going to put a little bit of fancy paper on the inside. So what I need to do is trim off on the side here, and I think I'll just do that with scissors. It's probably as easy as doing with a trimmer. So just take that off, again as neatly as I can. And because I like a little bit of tatty edge on my little journal folders, or indeed journal covers, I'm just going to leave that little bit that peeps out at the top there. So this is the outside of my cover. I'm going to turn it over and just add a little bit on the inside. And what I like to do, what I've found works quite nicely, is rather than having a sheet of paper covering the whole of it again, I'm going to add this sheet vertically and to the left, so that I still have a little bit of black and white print sticking out on the right there. So again, I just need a little bit of glue. You can see how fast this comes along.
I'll just add that round the edge again in a fine line, and a little bit of a swirl in the middle. And this one again can go butting right up and neatly to the edge on the left hand side and almost to the top there. I'll let a little bit of that tatty edge stick out, and I think that's about as tidy as I can get, and it's nice and flat. So again, what I need to do is just turn that over and trim off the excess. How easy is that? Take that away. And it's a matter of choice, but and keep that, we'll be using that to help with the decorations on the inside. So I'm going to round the corners. I like to have rounded corners on this design. It just seems to fit with that historical feel. So my favourite corner rounder. So at this stage we've got, in part of the cover, 3 sheets of paper, and in part of it we've got 2. And with the sewing that I'm going to do around it, that really does feel robust enough for something really nice and thick and robust. So at this stage, what we want to do is add the sewing around the cover. So don't fold it yet. It's easiest to sew around if you don't fold it in half yet. What you want to do is take your sewing machine, or if you don't have a sewing machine, you can add faux stitching or just do nothing. But what I like to do is, starting at the top left, work around it, and I just add a little bit of interest by way of some zigzag stitches down here. It just happens to fall in a part of the pattern that comes on the front here. So all the way around it, back up to the top, a little bit of a to and fro at the top here, and that seems to be absolutely perfect for adding everything we need to bring that cover together. So I've sewn around the cover, and that means it's time to make the pockets. So I'm going to make a pocket with 1, 2, 3 compartments with a slope, and just a really basic one on the left hand side here. So shall we do the sloping one first? And I've been making these, they're really quick and addictive. I've made them from a couple of types of book page, and I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts on the papers that I've been choosing, the book pages. So this is quite thick and a little bit glossy, not totally glossy, but different from the white one that I was making to begin with. And I actually really like it. I like the use of book pages that have got plants on them. There's something really great about that botanical feel. So I feel like I might want to make quite a few of those. The book page that I used to make this flowery one, it's a very common book about gardens that I find quite frequently in charity books here in the UK. So I think I'll make one of those today. The alternative is a slightly smaller one with a very white sheet of paper, and I chose these to begin with because I thought the white went very well with these delicate lady pictures, but I'm actually leaning towards the more flagrantly colourful flowers. So the method is exactly the same. I think the point is experiment with your book pages and see what you really like, and what you think you might like might be superseded by something else. So let's take one of these book pages and just make that sloping pocket design. Let's make a bit of space. So this book page is 21 centimetres and a bit wide and about 27 centimetres tall. And to make these sloping pockets, you want something that isn't too narrow compared to the height. You want something that is, a rectangle's fine, but not far off a square is ideal. So what I'm going to do to begin with, this is really, really easy, is fold this into 4. I'm going to fold it up. And I've used this design in quite a few projects. Let's use my bone folder. I'm going to vary the technique a little bit today, and the reason we can vary the technique a little bit is because I'm going to make the folds really, really sharp and crisp. And what that will allow us to do is not have to make a little snip when we come to glue the sheets together and glue it up as a pocket. So all I've done there is take my piece of paper and my book page, fold it up and then fold it across. And I'm going to do some corner folding, but before I do that, let me just mention choices that you can make so that you have the little pocket looking as you want it to look. You have a choice about which of these images will end up on this front here. So you can have, with this one, some pretty red flowers, or I could have something more pink and green coming through. And I think I want this red coming through. So I'm going to have this on the back and start with a fold on the top right hand corner. And I'm folding in so that it's a large corner that's folded in, but I'm not quite going all the way to the middle line here. So as you can see, I have made a fold just here, and my middle fold up the middle of this sheet is just a bit to the left of the edge of this fold. And that's my big fold. I'm going to fold the bottom left up, but I'm not making as big a fold by quite a long way. And it's the different sizes of folds here that mean you have a little bit of a stepped series of pockets in your pocket as a whole. And then I'm going to turn the whole thing over, and I am going to fold this bottom left one in. And this one is going to be a medium size, so make this fold somewhere between the size of the first one and the size of the second small one that you did. And again, making sure that you really do make all of these folds nice and crisp. Turn it back. And at this stage, to make life really easy, what I'm going to do is stick my flaps down. So I'm just going to take a little chubby stick of glue here and give something on each of these folds to just keep them in place to make life really easy as we bring this pocket together. So far, how easy is that? I've got my red on the back. So what I want to do is add some glue, so I'm not doing any snipping as I normally do at this stage. I'm going to take a run of glue and bring that up this vertical on the left hand side here. I'm running a vertical up to the horizontal fold, go over to the right and put a run of glue on the vertical bit just here. So I've got glue here and here, and I'm just going to fold the bottom up. And all we've done by putting glue in those places is made sure that we have enough but not glue coming out of the top by guessing how much to put on. And at this stage I'm going to fold over that right hand side and take my bone folder and give the whole thing a little bit of a squeeze down. There is a tiny bit of glue emerging from the side, which is fine. My desk can cope, but I'm going to get that to be really crisp. Open it up and get some glue on the right hand side, just the right half, vertically and horizontally up, and then this will fold over and sit neatly and flatly because what we've done to this point is made sure that the papers are all very nicely bone folded pressed. And I can take my corner rounder, just give that a snip. So we've got 1, 2, 3 layers in our pocket. We've got the red coming through, which I think is really nice for on the inside of this journal folder. I think it works really well. And all I'm going to do is take a bit of washi, which is always nice to play with, isn't it? Have a look at what washi you've got, what do you feel like playing with, and maybe I will add a couple. I thought it would be quite cheeky to add some pattern into this. So I'm going to take a piece and just stick that on as a bit of pattern, and then take another one, and this one adds just a bit of extra security on the pocket. So rip it off, that's fine. That goes across the bottom, which gives us some strength. Sorry about the flash there, the reflection. And that's all there is to get my pocket on the right. Shall we have a go at what's even easier, the pocket on the left? So for my pocket on the left, which is this one here, I'm making a super simple, probably the most basic pocket you can possibly make. I have a piece of book page which is not so usable given the colours on the back, but has got a very nice gentle shade of vanilla in its background here. So I'm going to take this piece, fold it up, and again give that quite a good press, and I will take one of these sides, fold it in about 1 centimetre, so I've folded up about 1 centimetre and I'm folding in about 1 centimetre, and I'm going to take the whole of this with the flap folded down and fold that all the way over. Those are all the folds we need to do. The piece of paper to begin with, just to give you dimensions, is 19.5 centimetres or so and 13 centimetres, and I took a book page and just ripped it in two. Now I'm going to take out just a few little pieces of paper from the folded areas to make it easy to glue together. So I'm going to take out just a bit more than the square that has been created on the side with the flap. So here's the flap, here's a flap at the bottom, and I've taken out just a bit more than a square. In the middle here, I'm going to take out a tiny piece of pie, just a really narrow slice, and all of this will just make it really easy and neat to fold and glue together. And then on this end, I'm just going to take a really tiny slice off the end of that flap at the bottom. So I've got 1, 2, 3 areas where I've cut, and now I'll just glue it together. So I'll take my glue stick, and the first thing I'm going to do is glue down this flap, which is the flap at the end that doesn't have a vertical flap. Let's just get some glue on there, fold that down, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the base of my vertical flap so that as I fold that bottom one up, it's just gripping. And then I'm going to put glue here and here, here and here. So we end up with a pocket that you can put things into all the way to the bottom. It just feels right. Fold that over, and how easy was that? And that gives us a couple of pockets. It gives us the beautiful red one with washi, and it gives me one to put on the left hand side to decorate. So all I want to do now is play with my sewn cover and bring it all together and fill these pockets with tags and little notepads. So why don't we have a go at that? So I'm going to start by decorating the left hand side first. So I will take the cover that I've glued and then sewn, and you can see there is black and white book page peeking to the right, which just makes it a little bit more interesting. Time to fold this one over, which I'm doing relatively gently, but I do want that to have a relatively crisp fold. As I say, it does feel like the sort of thing that you could use to turn into a junk journal folder. I will begin by decorating my pocket. Got my pockets here. I'm going to take the smaller one of the two and just add one of these lovely ladies which I've cut out on the front of there. So any image would do. Let's have this one, glue that on. so easy. Like I said, this has got to be an elegant little journal folder, but one of the easiest I have ever done, and there's nothing wrong with that, is there? Just because something's easy doesn't mean it's less satisfying. So this can go onto my pocket. I'll give it a little bit of space to the right and underneath. That seems to fit really nicely. And I think I'll add a label onto this one. I like something to come on the left here. So I'm going to have, there are labels in this kit that comes from Tracy Fox in that gorgeous neutral shade, that brown shade, which works so well on so many of our projects. So I'm going to reflect the height of this pocket, just use up a little bit of space there. I hope that's the right way up, and I feel like I want a little bit of definition, so I'm going to take one of my Arteza Inkonic pens, which happens to have some, it's an olivey green, which also is in the dress of the lady, so I feel that that will work quite well. And I'll just do a little bit of faux stitching to give it a frame, just to give it a border. Bring that round. You could do it in black as well, that would look nice. And this can go onto my cover just down on the left hand side here. I know my stitches around here are a little bit untidy. They're getting better. I would say thank you to everybody who helped me think about changing the tension on my sewing machine, because in a previous project they were worse. So I'm getting better and I'm getting there, and your help is really appreciated when you make comments in the comment boxes. That's really, really great. Helps me improve and learn. So I'm going to have the pocket just there, and before it dries, before that glue dries, I think I will have something else tucking in over here. So I've got time to slide it underneath because that glue is not yet dry. So I'll have, I hope it's the right way up, I apologise if it's not. That can just tuck under there. And I think I'm going to have just a big one up here. So I've got one already cut out. I think it might go that way up. Oops. Maybe that way. And that just gives a bit of detail at the top left. So that can stick over there. And that's my left hand side decorated. I'm ready to tuck a few things in shortly. On the right hand side, I'm going to start with my sloping pocket, and I thought with this one I would have it as a flip out. So I'm going to attach it with some washi tape on the left hand side. So let's have a go at that. I've chosen a black and white stripe because I feel that that pattern of washi goes with the rest of the project. So I'm going to stick that down the left hand side of this pocket and make sure that there's plenty of washi not stuck to the pocket so that that can stick to the cover. So basically divide your washi quite evenly between the pocket that we've made and have plenty sticking out here. And that can just go on the back cover. Decide where you want it to go. I want enough space to still see this image up here. So I am going to tuck this pocket quite low down on the bottom right here. So I'll hold the washi back and then try and get the pocket to be neatly and tidy in the bottom right hand corner here. Doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, does it? What we want is for the washi tape to really work well in holding the pocket on. So let's just help it there. There we go. So that works as a hinge, and I'm going to take one of my other images now and I'll give it a border with faux stitching, and then we'll stick this on. I think I'll use a gel pen just because I feel like I want a slightly stronger colour. And I've stuck my pocket on first, and I'm going to work with where that position is so that I see the lady sticking out. So what I really mean is, I know where the pocket is on the bottom right hand side. I don't want to completely cover up the image of this lady when it's folded down. So I will sit her where I can still see her peeping out. That's really nice, isn't it? Gorgeous red coming through in the pocket, and the lady just here. Doing well. I'm going to add a tiny bit of washi, just a tiny bit. So take a short piece, tear it in half lengthways, and maybe even that's too big. That's better. So just a little bit. I'll have that at the top. I'll have a little bit down here, and I'm going to have just a little bit down here, like that. On the back of this pocket, I thought I'd have a butterfly, so I pulled out a couple. I've got a couple of Artie Mays butterflies here. This is one that I have added a really pretty iridescent paint to. So I thought I would add that on there. Which one works best? I actually think the one without paint works best, because this is quite a strong image behind and this needs that strength of colour to come through. So I'll have that on there. So it's just a little surprise when you fold back the pocket. So far so good. I think I will stick down those antennae just for safety, just to protect them a little bit. So I have a little bit of glue on those. And now it's time just to fill those pockets with some goodies. So to fill the pockets on the right hand side, I thought I'd have one of the little ladies, so that can go in there. There's some really nice writing in one of those didges. So does it go that way? I'm not sure. Let's put that in there. Now I said I'd use the offcut from the piece of paper that we used to line the inside. So I just made that up into a little bit of a memo pad. So I made just a stapled pad with the pretty paper on the front and some gorgeous little book pages and maps and goodies there. I chose there's two there. I chose a piece of paper with Rupert Bear on because I thought that flash of red worked really well with my book page I was going to use for the pocket. So that can be tucked in into my second pouch in here. Let's get that in. And in the back here, I thought I'd add a tag. So this is using my book page approach to making the substrate, and I've got some pretty butterflies on here. So that seems to go again with the theme. So I thought that could go in there. You could put some hessian or some ribbon in there, and as it sits in there I can still see the image behind, so I really like that. And on the left hand side, another of the images. Isn't that pretty? Another of those images, so that can go in there. Can we get it in? There we go. And one of the tags that I made the other week with a new set of papers from Victoria Designs. So I'll leave a link to the video where I made this tag in the description box down below. And that can go in there. And how easy is that as a little journal folder, or indeed a junk journal cover. I hope you've really enjoyed seeing me make this. Do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And check out my video where I made these tags. It's a really fun process with lots of collage and a little bit of splatting of paint. I think you might enjoy that too. I really, really do. Hope to see you soon.